In a simple term, sustainable agriculture is agriculture that has been produced legally without dentured labor, that has been produced in such a way that it leaves a positive impact to the environment. And the outcome is that you should become a better business because you're having a better control over your expenses, but also more importantly, that you have positioned yourself to be in this business for a long time. If we think about certification as being a set of aspirations, it's certified sustainable when you have a third party who's independent from the producer and from anybody else to verify that those standards have been met. So has certification worked? In some ways, if you look back 10, 15 years, sure, it's changed a lot of the way people apply their management practices. You now have an external scrutiny. The auditors, the buyers are now becoming more educated about what they're looking for and what are issues for them. In some ways, having certification mandatory, at least it drives home the necessity to be able to meet these basic legal compliant milestones. Now, I think the big challenge was to go from the large agribusinesses to everybody else, from a very smallholder with 0.2 hectares, all the way through to a few hundred, to a few thousand, but still within the realm of independent producers. A lot of these things are designed as you have to be compliant by a certain date. Now, that's fine if you get there, there's a reward waiting for you. But on the other hand, I think we're not learning from those situations where there are non-compliances, because that's important to know as well. So if you can't meet this, what is actually going wrong? What can we learn from that? Because the answer could be more enforcement, could be better reward, could be better education. I think Perak's been a really good example for us where we have been working with the industry. It gave us a space to look at how does one support and certify smallholders. And I think we figured out that trust is obviously an important thing. The second thing is also about distilling the standard, because you kind of need to find a way of communicating to them that speaks to them in their language as much as possible. But I think the main point with this is that we do not see the goal as certification per se. But the fact is that we were able to start exploring new things because the farmers that we work with are all certified sustainable to RSPO and now to MSPO standards. But then we're still asking that question, well, what more can we do? So one of the sort of glimmer of hopes was that there's been a body of new work coming out. And it's from this body of work that we started to piece together that fundamentally plants need bacteria and fungi as their main vehicle for accessing nutrients that they essentially need. This is where you start sort of entering into the realm of traditional knowledge. What has farmers been doing in the past? So what we called as biointensive agriculture is taking this knowledge and intensively apply within the farm block. But it's just this idea that, sometimes we do think that nature will heal itself, but often it's going to take a long period of time. So what can we do to enhance this? And the results are very clear for them to see. Probably this is why I get excited about this, because you don't need me to tell you that it's working because your plants are greener. So is it working? You tell me. Yeah, actually, my plants are looking green. And then some will tell you, actually, my yields have improved over time. And then they remember that I've actually made more money because I spent less money in the beginning to get these bigger harvests. From a biodiversity perspective, you walk into these farms and you'll hear the insects and the birds, and it's very, very different compared to insecticides, herbicide-infused farm, which are usually their neighbors. And they're complaining of bagworm, caterpillar, and all kinds of pests because essentially their plants are weak because they don't have enough nutrients. But it's not going to come simply from fertilizers. There's a lot of micronutrients which fertilizers do not give you. And I think that's why it is quite exciting to be in the sustainability space right now, because we kind of know what we've lost or what we've done wrong in the past. And also at the same time, the accelerations in terms of technology. There is some really interesting big data work coming out in groups out of Cambridge and a few other people, where they're taking live trade data published by different parts of the supply chain, including government data, and sort of overlaying this information in such a way that you know and within a certain period of time where your production has come from, as well as the path that it has flown to an end user who may be sitting in Europe or China or wherever else. And once you get into this realm of working with data, you really do need to have government on board. So the way I see it, especially for Malaysia, the opportunity is to ask this question around how can we ask more intelligent questions so that we are able to get the entire palm oil production legally certified or legally compliant in the most efficient of manners. And I think to be able to do this, it sits very much with the regulatory body. And secondly, there may also be a question around, can we make our processes more efficient? So we don't have to spend a lot of money just making sure that we're all legally compliant. Then maybe certain regions can be shown to be more progressive than others. Then we should have a reward system for those regions. So I think it does need a slightly different group of people to be really working together if we are going to make that a possibility.